do you have an idea of what's going to happen tomorrow with the starting pitcher? Do you expect him to start, or what's going on there?
Yes, Landon will be the starting pitcher tomorrow. So we've been monitoring how he's been feeling the last few days, and he's been feeling pretty good for really the last 2 or 3 days. And he tells me he's 100%. He's feeling very strong. He's been throwing the last 3 days, and he wants the ball badly. So I'm not going to prevent that from happening.
Oh, were you ever concerned about COVID? I know we live in that world now.
Not at all, Ed. He's been tested twice a week, just like everybody else, and he's never shown any signs of having it. I mean, every time anybody has a sniffle, we're concerned for that, but he's being tested on a regular basis, just like everybody else. So you have to believe what the tests are telling us. And I'm trying to remember the last time he was tested. It might have been Wednesday of last week, and he wasn't feeling good on Thursday when he pitched. So he passed. I think we got the results on Thursday morning from his Wednesday test, and he wasn't feeling good on Thursday. So I assumed that it wasn't COVID.
Also, just what's Giovanni's status right now? Is he going to be out with that hamstring, or is it?
I'm going to put him on the eligible roster, but he's going to be out at least until Thursday.
Coach, looking back on getting to this point, and I asked Landon this, when you guys were 1-8 in the league, did you feel like, I know as a coach you always want to project optimism, but this was like was this a tough sell that you could do this at that point?
No, Ed, because I have history. When you're old, you have a lot of history, and I've been around a long time, and I've had teams that have started slow before and caught fire. And I think the most obvious case is the 2008 team. With 4 weekends to go in the season, we were 6-11-1 and in 10th place out of 12 teams when it was a 12-team league. And we caught fire at the end of the year. Heck, we made it to Omaha. So, I can tell stories to the kids. That wasn't the only season. Maybe it was, one of the few seasons at LSU, but I had plenty of seasons at Notre Dame or other places where, I know a 56 game season's a long season. I've had seasons where we've started fast and cooled off and not finished as strong. And we've had seasons where we've started slow and then got hot. Most of the seasons we've finished strong. It's kind of been the MO. I don't mean to say that, in any kind of braggadocious way. Believe me, I'm just saying that because of the history, because of being an older coach and an experienced coach, I don't hit the panic button. I know that you can turn it around as quickly as anything. And the only way you can turn it around is by players having a good positive attitude and keep hustling and keep believing in themselves. And I try to teach life lessons each day with these kids. Listen, I had a great mentor in my father. He was a coach for 30 years. And these are the things that he taught his players. And these are the things that I learned from him is that, these youngsters get to play college baseball for 3 or 4 years, but the lessons they learn are things that they take through the rest of their lives. And all of us have had our down moments in our personal lives. And what do you do every time something bad happens in a personal relationship or in a job related thing or whatever? Do you just give up, or do you fight through it and keep a positive attitude? I look at Matt Trent. I know he was an athlete. I'm sure that those lessons you learned as an athlete help you get through those tough times in your life. And those are the things I try to portray to these kids. And so when you're 1-8, you say, hey, you got 2 choices. You can lay there and give up, or you can get up off your feet and come back fighting. And that's what I encouraged them to do. I don't want you to give up. Let's keep fighting and things will turn for the better for us. And eventually they did. And I think we've won our last 3 series. I think we've won 4 of our last 5 series. So we're on the upswing and it's not too late. Listen, we didn't win our divisional title. We didn't win the SEC championship. We don't necessarily have a bid locked up. We didn't finish with a seeding that we are really proud of, in the SEC nor that we're used to. But I told them, hey, look, if we come out here and have a great showing, maybe win this tournament, go to a regional, wherever, it'll be a great adventure. It's not going to be at home. We love to play at home, but this year it's going to be an adventure for us. We go win a regional, go win a super regional, go to Omaha. Hey, they'll create their own legacy in LSU lore if they can do things like that. So Nobody's given up. The coaching staff's not giving up. Ashley's not giving up. Phil Franquez is not giving up. Nobody's given up. The players aren't giving up. So we're just going to keep going, and hopefully we're gonna have some good things happen here in the postseason. The regular season can be such a grind. I'm telling you, especially in this league. The difference between having a good season and a below average season is so minuscule. We lost 7 one-run games and 2 two-run games. That's 9 games that were by whiskers. If we just turned around half of those games, the season would have a different feel to it. We got walked off 4 times on the road. Anybody that's played the game and been walked off knows what a distasteful feeling that is. Yet, you were very competitive and had a chance to win those games. So, there's no moral victory. I'm not trying to say that there is, but you don't get down because you're right there. And if you just do a little bit more, you can win those games the next time. And that's what I try to make our kids believe. And nothing positive happens when you beat them down. Only positive things happen when you make them believe in themselves and that they can still do it. So when we were 1-8, I looked at that as a great opportunity for these kids to learn some life lessons and to become proud of themselves. And that was the approach I took with it.
Obviously, you guys are focused on the postseason, but I'm sure you saw the Skip Bertman a documentary. What was just your thoughts on it, and just what does he mean having him around to this program and just LSU baseball, all that he started?
Ron, I actually got a link to it, and I showed it to the team on the bus when we were about an hour and a half outside of Hoover. We were watching regular movies, and then I timed it just before we arrived in Hoover for the time before we got here to play it on the bus. I sent them all a text message and explained about the history and tradition of LSU baseball. These kids weren't even born when Skip took over here. Most of them were born when Skip retired, So I had to explain to them a little bit about the history. When I played at LSU, our baseball coach, he was a part-time coach. His main job was he was the equipment manager for the football team. They see the SEC with these beautiful stadiums and great programs and top 5 teams in the country are from the SEC. It wasn't like that all the time. And what Skip did here was unbelievable. But the players here don't know the history. So I had to explain it to them. And then I showed them the video of Hold the Rope. And they needed to understand that. And they needed to understand that I got handed the baton and became the custodian along with the players. We became the custodians of this program. And then when they put that jersey on, they're representing all of the great players and coaches that were here before us that built this program. That's a huge responsibility. And, what you do in the postseason is what creates your legacy. And so you get through the grind of the regular season, you get into the postseason, and now the fun time begins. This is when you create your legacy. And what Skip has meant not only to this program, this university, the state, but to me personally, I can't even put it into words. He brought me here. He brought me to LSU. I'm forever in debt to the man. He's like a second father to me, and I love him dearly. And when he called me about coming to LSU, I had turned down a half a dozen other jobs when I was at Notre Dame, including several in the SEC. I never wanted to leave Notre Dame. The only school for which I would have left Notre Dame was LSU. And when Skip called me, I was so moved that he had the confidence in me to become the coach at LSU. It was just impossible for me to say no. And when I came here, I told him that my only goal was to make him proud of me. And it remains my goal today. I just want Skip to be proud of me and the program that he created here. And listen, this year's been a rough year. I'm not necessarily proud of where the results are, where we are, but I'm proud of the effort. And most of the years have been pretty good. We've only won one national championship. I say only. There's a lot of schools that wish they had won, but we've been pretty close several other times. And Skip Bertman is just, he means everything to me.
Coach, do you think that you kind of touched on it a little bit? Do you think that now getting into the tournament, this is the easy part? Do you think the kids will play with a little bit of relief, weight lifted off their shoulders, being that you've had to grind these last 3 series to even get here?
I sure hope so, Matt. And that's what I'm counting on, and that's what I explained to them. That's what teams have done in the past. There's a lot of pressure on these kids to play at LSU. And, the expectations are through the roof, and they're still young kids, and especially this year's team. Most of these players had never seen an SEC game, have been involved in an SEC game before this year. And it took them a while to adjust to it. And once they did, they started playing much better. And now that we've got through the regular season, we've gotten into the postseason, typically what we've done in past years is a more relaxation comes over the players and they play their best baseball in the postseason. I just told them, this is the fun time. This is the fun part of the season. This is when you go out there and you let it rip. And we've had a lot of success here in Hoover, and I hope 2021 will be more of the same.
Paul, do you think you guys have a little wind behind your back right now, or is that overrated?
No, I think so. I think so, Ed. Sure. Confidence is an amazing thing. It's like the chicken or the egg. What comes first? The chicken or the egg? Do you have confidence because you're playing well, or do you play well because you have confidence? I think you have to have confidence to play well, but I think the more you play well, the more your confidence grows and you start to believe that you can do anything. And, we've won 3 series in a row. We've won 4 of our 5 road series. So, playing away from Alec Box Stadium is not something that our kids are afraid of doing. They've had a lot of success away from home. We won 4 of our 5 road series, plus we won at UL, we won at UNO, so, we've won away from the box, and I think our kids are very confident about their chances.
Paul, obviously, to make a run in the tournament, you got to have a lot of pitching, and it seems like your relievers have really come on, especially this past weekend. Where's your kind of confidence level in them now, especially getting guys like Ty Floyd and Javen Coleman and all those guys pitching well like they did at Texas A&M?
Well, obviously that performance the other day, I don't even know what to say about it, Wilson. It was one of the greatest team relief performances that I can ever remember as a coach. I think it was 11 innings, scoreless innings. And that was unbelievable. So more than my confidence in them is their confidence in themselves. And I think I heard a little bit of Landon's interview talking about Javen Coleman. He's been coming on ever since the midweek game before the Ole Miss series. He's been outstanding. And I was really proud of Michael Fowler the other day. Ty Floyd is growing by leaps and bounds. Garrett Edwards he's been amazing. My only concern with him is just he's had a little bit of a sore arm that he's just having to grapple with. And Devin Fontenot has obviously been money. He's he's dealing with a little bit of an ailment right now, not arm related, but he's got to overcome another little issue with his physical status, but hopefully he'll be okay for tomorrow. But yeah, I got a lot of confidence in those guys because they have a lot of confidence in themselves right now.
One more question, because we don't want the computer to die.
Paul, is it the same approach when you come into the tournament this year in a game like tomorrow, where it's do or die, as compared to a year where maybe you have a bye going into it, and how critical do you think tomorrow's game is?
Who's asking that question? Scott?
Scott.
Okay. Well, Scott, we've had a couple of them. We played Tennessee one year in a Tuesday game, and I remember we fell behind in the game, and Greg Dykman had a home run in the 9th inning to tie it. Kramer Robertson got a walk-off hit in the bottom of the 9th inning. We had another one against Mississippi State, against a really good Mississippi State team that had Jake Mangum, and I don't remember if Dakota Hudson pitched that game against us, but they had a really good pitcher that game, and we beat them that day as well. So we've had a little bit of experience with it. It's an elimination game, so, whether you have one loss or no losses and playing the one and done game, it's, your backs are against the wall, and you just got to find that zone and find a way to get the job done. Listen, if you had one game that you had to win, I'd prefer to have Landon Marceaux on the mound and Devin Fontenot available out of the bullpen. So, I hate to say I like our chances, but I feel confident with those two guys towing the slab for us, and I think we'll be ready to play tomorrow. Okay.
Thank y'all.
Bye, everybody.